Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a major policy shift happening in Pakistan, and it's a really big deal for anyone with solar panels, or anyone thinking of getting them.
So if you've got solar panels in Pakistan, listen up. The way you make your money back has completely changed. The whole financial calculation has been turned on its head. Let's get right into what's going on.
This all went down on February 9th, 2026. The National Electric Power Regulatory Authority, that's NEPRA for short, rolled out these new prosumer regulations. And believe me, this isn't just some small update. It's a complete overhaul of the system.
So what's at the heart of this solar shakeup? Well, it all comes down to how people who produce their own energy, they're called prosumers, now interact with the national power grid. Now you're going to hear this word a lot, prosumer. It's a key term. We're not talking about huge power plants here. A prosumer could be you with solar panels on your roof, or a farmer with a biogas system. You're both a producer and a consumer of electricity. Pretty clever, right?
Okay, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. This is where you'll really feel the change in your wallet. The difference between the old way, net metering, and the new way, net billing, is huge. It's like a tale of two completely different philosophies.
Under the old system, net metering, it was super simple. For every unit of electricity you gave to the grid, your meter basically ran backward and you got a credit for 1 unit, a straight swap. But now, with net billing, you sell your extra power to the grid at a low wholesale price. But when you need to pull power from the grid, you buy it at the full, much higher retail price. You're selling low and buying high.
To put some numbers on that, with the old net metering system, prosumers were getting about 26 rupees for every extra unit they fed into the grid. Not bad at all.
And now, under the new rules, that price has been absolutely slashed. You're now getting the national average energy purchase price, which is only about 11 rupees per unit. We're talking a price cut of more than half. That means the time it'll take to pay off your solar panels just got a whole lot longer.
So you're probably asking, why on earth would they do this? It seems totally counterintuitive, right? Well, the government, specifically the Power Division and NEPRA, they say they have their reasons, arguing it's about the health of the entire system. The official line is that they're not trying to discourage solar. They claim the growth was just too fast and unregulated. With 7,000 megawatts of solar already on the grid, they were running into some serious technical problems. Think of the grid as a finely balanced network. When the sun comes out, you get this massive surge of power. A cloud passes over and it suddenly drops. Managing those intense swings, what engineers call ramp-ups and ramp-downs, is a huge headache. They argue this change was necessary to keep the lights on for everybody.
As you can imagine, this did not go over well. At all. The announcement was met with a fierce and immediate backlash. During a marathon public hearing, people from all over the country made it very clear they were not happy.
This quote from the Dawn newspaper really sums it all up. The feeling from critics is that instead of fixing the grid, the authorities are just punishing the very people who are trying to be part of the solution by generating their own clean energy.
And the arguments against this are coming from all sides. People are saying it hurts small farmers and businesses who rely on solar, that it goes against Pakistan's international climate promises, and that the whole thing was rushed through without talking to anyone. And get this? Some think tanks are arguing that if Pakistan just bought this surplus solar at a fair price, it could actually earn about $40 million in carbon credits.
So, with all this controversy swirling, what if you want to get solar panels today? What's the process look like now? Well, the new 2026 regulations have laid out a much more formal, structured path.
It's a pretty clear step-by-step process now. You apply, they review it, you sign a 5-year agreement, and then you get connected. But here's the catch. While it's a clearer process, it locks you into those new, less attractive financial terms from day one. It's a double-edged sword, really. More clarity, but for a much worse deal. And this right here, this is the critical part for anyone who already has solar panels. Your existing contract is still technically valid, but the way you get paid changes immediately to the new, lower net billing rate. So your earnings get cut right now. And when your original agreement finally expires, you have to move over completely to the new 2026 regulations, the whole shebang. Okay, let's zoom out for a second. What's the bigger story here? When you look at it, this whole situation is a classic tug-of-war between a centralized, top-down power grid and a decentralized, citizen-led energy movement.
On one hand, you have the government's vision for stability. They're saying, look, we have to manage this massive, complex grid to make sure it's reliable for everyone. But on the other hand, you've got this vision of empowerment, where regular people can reduce their reliance on a shaky grid and help build a cleaner future. It's a debate about who should control the future of energy and who should pay for it.
So, at the end of the day, what is this? Is it a necessary, if painful, reform to stabilize the country's power supply? Or is it a huge step backward that's going to stifle the solar revolution just as it was getting started? Pakistan is truly at an energy crossroads, and the path it takes will shape its future for years to come.